reason that we moved to Puerto Rico is for our children to learn Spanish. My oldest is in first grade, and in his school, it is an accredited private school in Puerto Rico. He has a continental Spanish class. You may be wondering, what is continental? Continental refers to Latin America or the Americas Spanish, which is different from Castellano or Spain's or European Spanish. All Spanish-speaking countries have kind of their own take on the language. They have different slang, different accents, different influences from other languages, other cultures. Like in Chile, for example, they had a lot of words that they at least believed that they came from like kind of Native American words, like the Incans or and actually in Chile they would sometimes ask us if, instead of asking if we spoke Spanish, sometimes like kind of staunchy business people would ask habla castellano. They seemed to think that they were speaking Castellano, even though they were not. They were speaking something more similar to Latin Spanish. So in Puerto Rico, we have the public schools and the private schools, and they have to follow different rules. And so our experiences are with private schools, but in general, public schools do have to follow nearly all federal rules. Sometimes they're offered small exemptions, such as when Obama granted them an exemption to No Child Left Behind. But currently, all Puerto Rican public schools are mostly Spanish. But they do have to teach a little English as well. And so an example of this is that they might do like kind of math and science and language arts and everything, like kind of the more academic things in Spanish, and then they might do gym, music, kind of the some other subjects in English, or they might have an English class. But let's see, something that I learned about the private schools, though, I was surprised. It is illegal for private schools to deny based on education. Misspoke there. It's illegal for even religious schools to deny admission based on religion. But private schools in Puerto Rico do not have to be accredited. But when they are accredited, there are some more rules that they have to go by. They have to have all their teachers certified teachers. They have to report absences, just the same as in the States, to know, if something's going on, or if their absences need to be reported, because school is required from 5 to 18. They have this is different from the States, all kids at public schools and accredited private schools have to be vaccinated. There's no signing your way out of it. They have to have the immunization records on file, and they have to have been done. Another interesting is if you go to an accredited private school and your kid needs to take public transportation, you can get basically 50% off of public transportation. Let's see. But there are no rules regarding the curriculum of the accredited private schools. But what I have found is that all of them, or at least all the ones that I looked into, do teach Spanish. So you may wonder, well, if they're not required to, why do it? It's really just the parents that want it. Whether it's expat parents or Puerto Rican parents, they want their kids to know both languages if they're going to those private schools. But just to give an example of a first grade curriculum, this is early in the school year, and this in language arts that is in English. They had a spelling quiz on 10 words that were all 3 letters that had the A sound. So mat, sat, pat, there's like 10 of those. The same week in Spanish class, if they were so they have 2 different Spanish classes at his school. If you're in this normal Spanish class, you had to read and write yo soy, puedo, gusta, and un. If you're in the continental Spanish, which my son is in, you just have to know the numbers 1 through 10 in Spanish. And so the normal Spanish class has homework twice a week, and the Continental Spanish doesn't have any homework. It's just recommended YouTube videos that are really, really simple. And so he was put in the Continental Spanish because he was assessed, and they did a couple different things on the assessment. So he did well on identifying vowel sounds, like if a word like insecto versus elefante, like which one is an I and which one's an E. And so that's a really good listening skill and understanding of like spelling and reading in Spanish. He did really well on that. He knows a lot of colors and numbers and things like how to say tree and how to say I'm hungry and I'm happy. But they will not put him in the normal Spanish class because they said he cannot express himself or tell a story. If he looks at a picture, he can't say like, oh, it's a sunny day and the boy is playing with his friend or something like that. And so we did have a meeting with the elementary school principal telling her that we really wanted him in the higher class because we feel like he's already mastered all the things that are covered the whole year in the first grade Continental Spanish class. And like we don't care if he fails the normal Spanish class, but we want him in it. We just want him to be exposed and immersed in the language. And so we're still trying to figure that out. But she did recommend us just work on it more at home. And so that's really frustrating because we're paying a lot for the private education. I mean, we're paying about $10,000 a year for a first grader. And so some of the things that we are doing at home is that we are trying to use more phrases and sentences and questions. So instead of just like pointing to a chair and saying, see ya, I can't even think of a good example to use chair right now, but I have like little post-its. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen it. I don't think any of you have my Instagram, so I'll link to that. But I'm trying to like leave little notes everywhere, like on the refrigerator where the drinking water is, it says Tienes said. And so every time my kid goes to get water, he reads that and he kind of laughs and he's like, "Sí, tengo sed." Little things like that. Tienes que ir al baño. And then I have little things like es hora de bañarte. So it's there for my first grader to read them, and it's there to remind me to actually use more Spanish around my kids. ¿Cuál libro quieres leer? And so right now I'm looking for suggestions. I'm looking for ways to teach him. I'm trying to get him out in the community, out around more kids that are speaking Spanish or kids that are bilingual and kind of speak Spanglish around him. I found a really cute video series. They actually have a whole bunch of stuff, but right now I'm just watching the videos with my kids, languagesforkids.com. And so hopefully I'm communicating with them, trying to get an affiliate link to give you guys that. But they really love that video. Actually, I'll put in a link of them watching it. It's really cute and really silly, and I think it's just more effective than having them kind of like a first words book, which we definitely have a lot of those too. I think it's like you still need to study and work at it, and like for the first grader, he needs to be reading in Spanish too, because he's reading in English. He's been reading in English for 2 years. So working, and then my younger kid isn't even very good with numbers in English, so I'm trying to get him. He's actually in Spanish all day. He is in a pre-K that is what the director and one of the teachers knows enough English to communicate with us, but all the kids in the school and most of the instruction and his karate and music and art, all of that is in Spanish. And so it's kind of silly. At the end of the day, I'm teaching my 5-year-old English and my 7-year-old Spanish. And I'm trying to see, I'm thinking about getting them into swim lessons at the YMCA just so that they'll hear Spanish together there. But yeah, if you have any suggestions of resources, I know we really like, we love the cartoon Pocoyo. I feel like the Spanish there is not too challenging, but I feel like watching the languages for kids is a little better for their level right now than Pocoyo or something more advanced in Spanish like Chavo. It's kind of in the middle of those because Pocoyo it's for preschoolers. It's very simple words. It's actually hardly any words. It's really cute if you have like a preschooler who wants to learn Spanish. I really recommend Mundo Pocoyo. You can find those on YouTube. Shows like Chavo or PJ Masks or even the Discovery Kids has a lot of Spanish cartoons. You could watch like Peppa Pig in Spanish, but a lot of those are hard for them right now to watch because they'll miss a lot of the words. It just moves a little too fast for them. And so I really like the languages for kids because they are using like full sentences and complete ideas, but it's very repetitive. And you can watch an example of one on their website, and that example really is accurate to what the rest of their videos look like. But I mean, my kids just laugh. They find ways to throw the words in there, like on a kid's t-shirt or on a sign or something, or on a poster behind the kids. And so it's all that the acting is done by kids. And it's just really silly stuff that kids really, really like. And so it's good for my first grader when he can see the words because he is reading, and he's actually doing pretty well reading in Spanish because it's a lot more consistent than English. I'll link to a funny video I found about if English was pronounced consistently. But so yeah, any ideas? Please. It's tiring to work full time and try to learn a foreign language yourself, and then you want to spend some time with your kids and you want to teach them Spanish too. And I did find a new app that's by the same. So my kids really liked the it's Gus on their iPads. There's an iOS app for learning Spanish, and they came out with a new one that is more focused on stories, so more sentences, and their animations are really cute. My boys really like it. So I'm hoping that they'll add more content to that app. Right now it's pretty small. So yeah, some links for for teaching some Spanish in the description. If you want to find out more about our move to Puerto Rico, check out other videos on my channel and subscribe. Thanks. See ya.